Guys, that is a beautiful, smiling, healthy, beautiful baby boy that had so much promise and deserved every opportunity to grow up and be something great in this world. We'd like to welcome you guys to the AFC podcast, where we advocate for children first. We're going to talk about that beautiful little boy and the person that was supposed to be there and the person that should know how hard fathers have it in the United States of America, in our society, especially in 2020. All of the stuff that we've been going through, all of the stuff that we've been advocating for to try to make sure and get people to care more about fathers, allow fathers to come into their children's lives. For something like this to happen is absolutely asinine at this point. A Clemens father, a man, and this heathen is facing charges of first-degree murder in the death of his own nearly 3-month-old son. That fucking idiot right here on my screen. Excuse my language for the people that are not able to deal with the language. His name is Brandon Scott McDaniel. I was able to find some of his information on Facebook, but he only had like one post on there. So maybe somebody got in there and deleted it. I don't know. He's 20 years old, relatively young, of Forest Line Drive in Clemens, and was initially charged with felony child abuse. That was before his son succumbed to his injuries, but he was charged with inflicting serious physical injury on Monday after he sought medical care for his son, that baby right there, Sloan Prescott McDaniel. Sloan, S-L-O-A-N, Prescott McDaniel. He wasn't even 3 months old. At the time, Sloan was 2 months and 27 days old. Now, according to an arrest warrant, McDaniel was accused of assaulting his son, resulting in bleeding on Sloan's brain. And I want y'all to look at this baby's photos. And while you guys are here, please click the thumbs up out of respect and share this stream. Let other people know that we're live telling the story about this baby, because I feel like his story is important. And I really would like to have more people hear about this baby's story. Because a lot of times I talk about parents being physical with their children, because a lot of us grew up in an era where we know what it's like to get spankings, whoopings, beatings, hit with things, parents reacting out of anger, or parents so-called disciplining us physically. And I've always encouraged people, even though I grew up in that era and I understand that era probably better than anybody does, I still advocate for something better. And I believe that's what it takes. I believe that's what it takes in order to make our society better. Is just because it was good enough for me, don't mean that I should pass those things down to my children. How many of my good parents out there understand what I'm saying? Maybe some people don't. But how many of my good parents out there understand that if you were given shit, it doesn't mean that it's okay for your children to be served shit? Right? We live in the most progressive, technologically advanced age ever in history, but yet we resort to Neanderthal tactics and methods of being able to raise human beings. And I know we can do better than this, because what you're starting to see as a trend, and the picture that I'm painting with my brush on my canvas, is an image that I want people to understand that this is going to be the result. Because sometimes you do not know your own strength when it comes to dealing with small children, right? Sometimes you don't know the level of damage that you inflict on them, whether it be something physical or whether it be something emotional. Some people are never able to recover from that, and you really will never know until something culminates from that. That's kind of my point. So I just encourage people to just hear my voice, look at my examples, and just understand that there cannot ever be an excuse. And I want people to also understand, when it comes to spanking and beating children, you only do that because they're small enough to not be able to speak for themselves and not strong enough to be able to defend themselves. I recently did a story about a group of children, one being a 3-year-old boy that was watching his 2-year-old sister get choked to death by his mother, and he went to go try to fight his mom off to save his baby sister's life. And that's a real story. You can actually go back in my feed and go back and look at that story and watch it and listen to it. If that boy were strong enough, he would have been able to stop his mom. That's why you generally beat children before they're preteens. 12, 11, 10, 9, preteen and below, because once they cross that threshold, now they're big enough to defend themselves. And I believe that if we really believe that being physical was that damn important, then why don't you do it to a kid that's 17, 18, 19 years old, 20 years old that lives in your house? You know why? Because they're big enough to speak for themselves, and they're big enough to put a foot in your ass. To me, that signifies a bully mentality. I don't know if everybody's going to agree with that. I have no idea how everybody is going to absorb what I just said, or even if they have the ability to be open-minded enough tonight to just hear what I have to say about that, okay? This baby boy had bleeding on his brain. That means his father hit him and caused blunt force trauma. Multiple serious injuries yet to be diagnosed. The arrest warrant said that the assault happened recently on a Sunday. Sloan died on a Thursday, and according to the news release from Forsyth County Sheriff's Office, McDaniel, the biological father, was charged with first-degree murder. That means the charges were upgraded. First-degree murder, y'all already know what that means. Either life in prison or potentially the death penalty. Okay? He's now being held without bond. Glad he didn't get a bond at Forsyth County Jail, and his next court date is February the 6th. He's scheduled to appear in Forsyth District Court on the child abuse charge on January the 30th, which is in 2 days. Debbie McCaffrey, Sloan's grandmother, declined to comment on the criminal case, but she did leave a quote, if I can read that for you guys real quick. She said, "I would like for the people to know that we're very grateful for every day that we got to spend with the baby Sloan." She said Friday. "He was a true blessing and a beautiful and happy baby boy. Sloan loved to giggle and laugh and enjoy kicking his legs and rolling all over," McCaffrey said. "It's a sweet time when babies are starting to come into themselves," she said. "He had a sweet personality." The family is in the process of making funeral arrangements, and there is a GoFundMe for the people that are concerned. I will pull that up and show you guys that here in a minute, because I believe that they did reach their goal. So I can pull that up and show you guys. Give me a moment. And while you guys are here, if we could, let's get about a couple of hundred thumbs up for the people that are watching. We got enough people here to do it. So if we could, everybody click that thumbs up. Let me go ahead and show you guys this GoFundMe. I'm not sure if it'll be big enough for you guys to see that. They had a goal of $5,000. That seems to be pretty typical for GoFundMes, and they've raised over that amount. So it looks like they at least got the amount that they were looking for, and they did leave some additional information. So it looks like it was written properly. So I'm glad for that. They left some contact information and an email address, which is pretty unique, but I'm not going to bother them. I don't really want to burden them any more than what they already probably are going through. Okay. But there is a GoFundMe page up. The impact that his 3 months of life had on me and his mom and those who loved him and cared for him was profound, and we cherished every day that we got to spend with him, she said. Now, news of the baby boy's passing sparked several reactions online, including ours, everybody in the chat, including questions about where the boy's mother is. That sounds like something we would do here at the AFC, because generally we're always asking hashtag where's the father, hashtag where's the mom, hashtag babies for benefits, hashtag when you date thugs, you date death. Right? Those are all of our hashtags. We always ask pertinent questions. Where's the mother and her people? I'm so confused, an Instagram user wrote. Such a cruel world. Rest in peace, little baby, somebody else said. Somebody said, it's so effing sad. Some people don't need children. Throw him under the jail, someone else wrote. Sloan's family is in the process of planning a celebration of life for him. The GoFundMe page was set up to help with funeral costs, and McDaniel remains in jail without bond. Let me go ahead and run these fair usages for you. And if anybody decides to utilize the links in the description box, I did get those. I'm going to read those off for you here in a second, but let me go ahead and give you guys the fair usage and go ahead and start our videos. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
Right now at noon, we're following breaking news in Forsyth County. Charges have been upgraded against a father in the death of his infant son. 20-year-old Brandon McDaniel is now facing a count of first-degree murder. He was charged with felony child abuse. The sheriff's office says McDaniel took his son to the hospital on Monday for treatment of injuries. That infant died yesterday. Investigators have not revealed the extent of the child's injuries. McDaniel is in the Forsyth County Jail with no bond.
Carly, thank you. Tonight, a family is trying to heal after deputies say a father killed his infant boy. Let's go to Steve King. He is live with details on the investigation into the death of little Sloan McDaniel. Steve, good evening.
Good evening, Kenny. Well, 3-month-old Sloan McDaniel had 2 godmothers, and they both describe him as pure joy. And they say they're going to do their best to try to heal, knowing that they're never going to be able to see his precious smile ever again.
I'm sad. I'm sad. This is a hard time. But I'm also grateful for his life, so we are focusing on that.
This baby was born just over 3 months ago. On Monday, he was taken to Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center by his father. That day, deputies arrested that man, 20-year-old Brandon Scott McDaniel, for felony child abuse. On Thursday, the infant died from his injuries, and Brandon McDaniel was charged with first-degree murder. Investigators say the deadly abuse happened at the father's home on Forest Line Drive in Clemens. Sloan's godparents say they're trying to focus on celebrating the boy's life, as difficult as that may be.
We are all still processing. Everyone is still in shock. And we're just going to step back, realize that it's not in our hands anymore.
For the family, we are all focused on celebrating Sloan's life and remembering all of the beautiful moments that we had with him, his smile and his giggle that he had just sort of found here recently.
And Sloan's family absolutely adored him.
He was pure joy, just the chubbiest, sweetest, most beautiful boy. He was one of the happiest babies I've ever spent time around.
I was pleased to know Sloan for the short 3 months that I did.
Now they're trying to heal together.
It's just been really, really hard to realize the reality of the situation, but we have all just been able to cry together and to love together and to realize that, like, he's in a better place and he's not in pain, and that's what matters.
Meanwhile, Brandon McDaniel appeared in court this morning for the first time. His next court date is February 6th. Now, there are some ways you can help the family during this difficult time, and to find out how, just visit our website, WXII12.com. Reporting live in Forsyth County, Steve King, WXII 12 News.
To the biological father, Brandon Scott McDaniel, I mean, what he did was inexcusable. There's a good chance that that young father has ended his life, and he's probably either going to get life in prison or the death penalty. And to be honest with you, I just think that those type of charges and those type of judgments should be a cautionary tale for these people whenever they think about getting frustrated or they think about being physical, that you need to understand that there are real life consequences, and understand that these innocent lives and these babies did not do anything to deserve what they got. They cannot speak for themselves, nor can they defend themselves against the tyranny of their caretakers. So he's gonna have a couple of court dates coming up here. If I can give you guys those court dates again. So currently he has no bail. He is going to have a court date on January the 30th and February the 6th. So that way that you guys can follow that story and make sure and kind of follow it and see what happens. If there are any major other updates, I would definitely make sure and let you guys know. I would love to know where the biological mother was in this situation, what the nature of their relationship was. Were they together? Were they living together? Or anything else like that? To the parents, like, I want to know what he did for a living. There's so much that I want to know that we just are not privy of as far as the information right now. But all I know is that little life right there did not deserve what he got. And I want to let a couple of these photos just scroll by, because I'm sad for the family, because this is all they're going to have to remember this little baby boy by. They're never going to know what it's like to hear him say his first words. They're never going to get a chance to watch him eat solid foods like a big boy. They're never going to get a chance to hear him tell a joke. They're never going to get a chance to take him to daycare, preschool, kindergarten, anything like that, man. And it's just a shame that we can't find out. We won't get a chance to watch his first steps. It's just really sad, man, because like I say, I remember what it was like being a father in my mid-20s, and I know how difficult it was, and that's why it scares me to know how we could just continue to keep bringing kids into this world, especially being in our young 20s, and we don't even have our own stuff together. Most of us that are parents or become parents don't have our shit together, and it's a very dangerous way to bring children into this world. And I just encourage for everybody out there to pay attention to these stories and be responsible for your future, and definitely be responsible for the legacy that you leave this world. Sloan had every right to be here and grow up. Sloan Prescott McDaniel, want to wish that beautiful smiling baby a rest in peace, and we wish we could have saw him grow up to be something great. Guys, that wraps our stream up. This is your boy DJ Just Jay. We're the AFC, where we advocate for children first. I would say judgment for Brandon Scott McDaniel. Put him on one of these space missions, launch him to space, and shoot him out the side of the tube and let him breathe and try to suck up space air. I just don't like this at all, man. Launch him to the moon, get rid of him. We don't need people like that in our society. All right, I love you guys. From my heart to yours, thank you so much for listening to the story of this beautiful baby boy, Sloan Prescott McDaniel. Guys, have a great night, and I love you guys. We'll talk to y'all on the next stream, all right? That's the end of the stream.